All right, welcome everyone to the TST Round Table that we haven't done in a while. I'm G. Trulli, the president of TST.
And I'm Pierre Espo, the vice president of TST.
I'm Eric Dibner, board member for TST.
So we're here tonight. Now we also have XTool that is trying to get online. They were on, then they were off, then they're on. So they're trying to get that straightened out. Hopefully they can come on. They have a great tool that we wanted to speak about. And we want to know what's on your mind. You guys can put stuff in the chat. If you hear us, you can type a letter Y in there. So make sure that you guys can definitely hear us. Type a letter Y, as we see a lot of different people on here. And just a letter Y, and there is a delay.
Yeah, you're not going to see what we say for 15 seconds or so.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Don't expect an instant response.
That is true. At any rate, what's on your mind? You know what's on our mind? There's a bunch of stuff on our mind. And thank you for those responses. So, with this pandemic, let's speak about how has business been during the pandemic. Eric, you're a shop owner like myself. How's business been?
According to my accountant, it's been my best year.
Isn't that amazing?
It always seems that way, but I never seem to have money in the account because I'm always paying for other things. So I don't get it.
Hold it. Maybe it's all those new tools.
Probably. And we're going to talk about that tonight, I think. But the way I look at it is this: the tools you buy make you money or save your back. So
yeah.
To me, it's a win-win for myself. I always said to myself when I first started in this business, I said, why don't I have a tool? None of you have to make or break it, make you break your back, I'm saying. And I got to the point where in my life, I'm like, I'm done. I'll buy the tool. I don't care if it costs me 10 cars. So return on investment is huge, but you also got to think about your body in the long run.
No doubt. The right equipment makes the right job, right? Makes it a lot easier. Why kill yourself? It's like, trying to do something with an open end when a socket can do a lot easier.
Right? I agree. Jim.
And I'm going to go along on that idea. My bad wrists from years of doing exactly the wrong things. I have a line that I've said to anybody who worked for me. What did Archimedes say? Archimedes said, give me a big enough lever and I can move the world. It got to the point where all I had to say when somebody had too short a bar or a ratchet was Archimedes. And they knew what that meant. They hadn't used a big enough leverage and they were going to hurt themselves or break a tool or break something in the car.
And tonight I might just show you a big lever that you might want to purchase.
Yeah, so we usually come up with a top 10 tool list. Obviously, we're not doing it tonight. We will do it sometime in the very near future. So if you have any ideas, and it's tools that we really try, there's a lot of different companies, without mentioning names out there, that award companies a top tool, but no one ever uses the tool. If we give someone a top tool, we've used the tool, and that's the important thing. Because you work hard for your money. You don't want to go buy something and then go find out, oh, you know what? Don't work.
Now, even if you're a technician and you're not a business owner, there's something called a cost-benefit analysis. And it's not a complicated thing. What you do is you figure out the price of that tool, how long you think it's going to last, how much either time it's going to save you or money it's going to make you, and how many times you're going to use it that way. And then you can decide whether it is going to be worth the purchase. Now, a lot of times you don't really know, but you can plug a number in as a guess, keep that calculation, and then see if it worked out that way.
You sound like Vin Waterhouse right now.
I am kind of, but it's good business practices. Vin is a big proponent of doing exactly that.
Right. And Vin Waterhouse will be doing a live management class here. We're just picking dates. It's something, if you don't definitely update closer, huh?
I think it's
wow.
Turn around. Yeah, maybe that's good. Yeah.
If you don't update with management, you won't be around. So the same thing goes true for your boss. You're a technician, let's say. Well, obviously you think you don't need management, but you do. When guys go out on a tool truck, for example, every minute is costing your boss money. Now, obviously, if you go out there and you're not BSing and you're really, going to buy a tool or invest in a tool, it's going to save you money. and make you more money, make the boss more money, well, that's great. And I let my guys go out. We have 4 different tool guys that come here. And it's important that they do go out and buy the tools because it saves you money. How about you, Eric? Did you
I have two tool truck companies that come to my shop. I'll name them names: Snap-on and Mac. And both of them, my guy loves going out there. It's like a
kid and candy store?
yeah. Not only that though, it's a personal relationship with the tool truck guy. So when they buy tools, yes, they will make money. And think about it, they're losing money when they go out there. But they also you have to give them space. You have to give your tech space. If you try and push them, many times, like, why does it take 30 minutes? Why is it taking this? I always tell my tool truck, come only 2 weeks. But you got to give them the time. That's my feelings about it only.
Yeah. And a lot of places do that. We have places close by where the owner will not allow the tool truck in. They say, nope, you can't come in. Got to come in after hours on lunch. You can't disrupt my guys. Now, that's good and bad. I understand it's productivity, but the bad part is, how's your guys going to get the right tool, right?
And that affects productivity way after that tool truck left. That's obviously, again, technicians or shop owners have to make that decision whether they need it or not. Sometimes you don't know if you need it for certain jobs. You don't know if you're going to make money quickly or not. But the point is, if you About the same time everybody else could hear.
Hello.
She has two screens.
I just heard it a second ago.
Yeah, but that's
Hello.
over there. That's not on this.
Still nothing?
No.
I can wear a free-
So anybody can
There we go. Now it's on.
lip read.
You got it?
What kind of tools are you guys interested in, and would you be looking to buy in the future?
Okay. All right. That's working now. All right. Sorry about that.
Well, you know what it is? We got XTools trying to come on, and I think, watch if that line goes through. See the speaker
Gotcha.
up top?
Okay,
So just so
Okay.
you know, while we can still talk to you, XTools is trying to get on, and somehow they, when we did that, the
Can they hear us now?
Mic line was killed.
they can hear you now.
Perfect.
All
Yeah.
right.
You know,
Okay.
I really wanted to get the XTool guys on because they really have a great tool out there, but.
It may
Oh,
not
well.
work out.
That's one of my next
So-
purchases today.
So there was a question that we wanted to
There were a
talk about,
couple of
right?
things before we lost everything. One was really not a tool question. It was about COVID.
COVID?
How is everyone else doing hiring and keeping technicians during COVID? And that's a painful subject to Jerry right now. So
Look.
I'll let him talk about that.
You know,
Everybody.
you can't get anyone to work. Don't get me going on the bandwagon, but if the government wasn't giving free money out, maybe someone would come get a job. That seems to be a big problem. You know, we have a great, we're a Napa Auto Care, and we have a good apprentice program. Trying to get someone, I mean, they wind up getting a whole toolbox of tools.
A really good toolbox, by the way, you know, a nice selection of
Can I
starter
join?
tools.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you're a little old.
yeah, I wish I could join.
Yeah, me
But
too.
you know, the problem is you need people, like Eric said, this really is one of our best years. We are up unbelievable, 20-30% up. And that is really, really good. COVID has been good. Now, here's the bad part. We're getting people coming in and they are fixing stuff like there's no tomorrow, dropping money ridiculous. But here's the issue. They're moving. They're getting the hell out of New York.
Yeah, they come to my state. No wonder why I'm doing so good.
Or they're going to
Yeah.
North Carolina or South Carolina, Georgia, or anywhere, lots of places
Right.
that are less expensive to live.
Canada too.
Oh, in Canada.
So
Wow.
I'm saying,
Not a
that was,
question.
yeah. Now,
So-
there was another question that was airlift. There was somebody saying airlift. I can't believe that every technician is not using airlift for cooling systems.
No, you need airlift. We've been using it for years, along with a burp funnel. You always want to just double check that there's nothing in there.
What's
You use airlift, right?
I use both.
I use
It's either or, it's really.
Well, we do both of them. You know, we always put it in a vacuum,
you-
suck it in, and then burp funnel it.
Know
So
your
it's-
car.
And on modern vehicles, the more, let's call it sophisticated and intricate the cooling system is, multiple thermostats, pumps, and all of that, you're really not going to get that system filled properly with that one.
In reality, check your data at All Data, Mitchell, because
Right.
there are hidden
Yeah.
bleeder screws. Like I'm like, what? Why would there one be there? But
Yeah.
all of a sudden you find it like, oh, and then it's plastic no less. So thank God if it comes apart. You know, so airlift is definitely key, but you should always check your bleed procedure because I'll tell you what, even back in the day, I remember lifting up Fieros from the back. Oh my God, like a 90 degrees thing hanging off the lift to get it to
well,
bleed.
even
to bleed.
Porsches and Subarus were problems.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
way before that, there were a couple of, I worked on some exotic things. There were a couple of Ferraris and like a De Tomaso Pantera, which was like the worst car I ever worked on to bleed. They had a bleeder. They supposedly had a procedure. They were just running a Cleveland engine. It wasn't the engine's fault. It was the plumbing they put in the car. And it was a bear. If you had the slightest head gasket problem on that vehicle, it would burp itself full of gases and stop circulating.
Well, thank God there's tools for that today.
Today there are, yeah.
And
weren't then.
back in the day when they didn't have monitors for temperature, how fast I used to drill a hole in a thermostat to get it to bleed on its own.
Right.
And that was a little trick I learned from an old timer, and it worked. But you can't do that today because of you have monitors that will time your opening time of your thermostat.
Right. Time to temperature, which brings us to another great tool, the E-scan.
Yeah.
All right.
What a
Time to
great tool.
climb.
We use that all the time. What do you guys like out there? Or if you want to talk more about COVID and the shop, here in the New York area, but I think throughout the United States, I'm not sure about Canada. I get a lot of people call me up. I just had 2 dealerships call me up for looking for help. They go, hey, you got that training school there. Do you have anyone? I go, if I had them, I'd take them.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that.
So I'm lucky. And I'm going to do this in quotes.
You are the help.
I'm retired. I am the
Is that
help.
what you
Yes.
call it, or you want to say something else?
Well, if I failed at one thing in my life, it's retirement. That has not stuck.
That is true.
G's a good one for that.
And two.
Yeah, life after wrenching, he always
I
calls it.
remember
But I think he works harder than I ever seen in my life. Somebody, I wake up at 5 in the morning because I got to write this thing for somebody to learn. I'm like, I get called at 5 in the morning. He picked up the phone. I don't get it. Life after
This is
wrenching.
a life lesson here.
Yeah,
That's
I've
it.
said this for years.
that's what I look forward to. By the way, it's great.
People are like sharks. If you stop swimming, you die. Don't stop swimming.
Very true. I just told a friend, I mean, you're going to retire? What are you going to do? I'd be bored out of my mind if I did nothing. I love what I do.
Yeah,
So to me, it's not work.
that's correct.
It is super easy, super easy. So we got some comments there, Pierre.
Yep.
Let's take a
Okay.
look at what we got. Wanna hear what
So
you
a couple of them said, enjoy eScan, and also some thanks for us. And that's really most of it. These guys are talking to each other about where
Maybe
their shops.
slide up.
Actually, somebody interested in the XTool key machine,
Yes. And I
and-
hope they get on.
right? Mostly it was stuff about problems in the industry, getting help and all of that. You can read it on your own chat board here, but
Oh, and Alan Boggs.
right.
Ah. Alan, welcome. You getting back into cars, Alan?
Life after wrenching.
That's it.
Now,
That's a nice boat.
I'm gonna make a
If I was
comment.
him, I'd be on the boat.
I want to make a comment here, unless somebody else comes up with something to dissuade me from it. It's not just the tool. Whatever tool you buy, simple or complex, and whether it's applicable, you have to make a decision to buy it. But whatever the tool is, you have to know the limitations of the tool. If from anything from a screwdriver or a wrench up to electronic scan tools, scopes, diagnostic equipment of various types. If you don't learn the limitations of the machine, of the tool, you're either going to get bad results or you're going to hurt yourself or damage something on a car. So something that Eric and I do, most weeks, what I call the Pierre and Eric, and sometimes Bill, who works for Jerry, comedy night. We get together at Eric's shop. We find a car that's a problem. We find a tool that's new or that Eric just bought or one of us just got, and we torment something. And I always recommend to people to do something like that if you can. You will learn the limitations of your tool. In the case of complicated things that we do today, in cylinder pressure and all of that stuff, even, leak detection or AC, 1, 2, 3, 4 YF AC diagnosis. The bottom line is you have to practice this. You don't want to do this while the customer's thumping their foot on the ground, waiting impatiently in the office or the waiting room.
Now you got to practice on knowing good cars because a lot of times we'll pick I'll come and say, hey, you got a car for us. It's a broken car. We never seen it before.
Yeah.
So it's like
And by the way, the other thing, a few years ago, Eric had a Honda in his shop that was a wreck. I mean, it was a teenage kid they gave it to, right? And yeah, we wish you still had that car. And they ran it into a tree or a telephone pole, and they then decided to sneak it home, with the radiator wrapped in a horseshoe. And they blew the head gasket. They ruined it. So it was going to the junkyard. Eric had the title, and now we had a car that we could loosen or tighten valves, change cam timing. If we bent the valve, did we care? No, we didn't care.
But that's how you learn.
And right. And that's how you learn. That's how you
Me
learn.
and him both look at this waveform and go, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
Excuse me,
that's
language.
correct.
And we were like, we both didn't understand it, but we had to learn about it.
Yeah.
So that's how you learn about how tight can you go without ruining the waveform where it's unrecognizable.
Hold on. So you mean not everyone's Bernie Thompson?
No.
Well,
That's
he
what
had
I call Bernie.
he had to learn too. So the bottom line is this: test known good cars, or
Yes.
a car like I just described that you don't care about. I mean, we had a bucket under this thing to catch the water; it was coming out so fast. So, but the bottom line is, You learn from those things, and it's a harmless environment. It's either you're testing a good car that has nothing wrong just to see what the test is, what the values are, or you're testing a car that you make bad, but you don't care. Yeah, retired in quotes.
Take a look at that. You know, another thing I'd want to talk about. First of all, I see Joel on there. Hey, Joel. Joel did a real nice little video up in his shop on 1234 YF using the CO2 leak detector. Now, sometimes people, you know, they bitch at me because I put up some of the videos that we do in the shop using CO2. That really works. That goes there. Here. This goes here.
Yeah, but what did I do? Oh, there we go. Got it. Sorry.
So here, keep that over here so you can see those questions. There you go, right there. But anyway, he did a really nice video, make a long story short. And of course, there's some people, I threw it up on YouTube and Facebook and even gave it to Bernie because 1234 YF, if you're not working on it and you're going to think about working on it, at $70 or so a pound, that's a lot of money. So we don't do any of the cars. They come in low, they get a leak test, mandatory leak test, or we ain't doing it because these people are going to come back screaming at you. And it takes extra time. So, you know, Facebook has been a really good place, except there's just like IATN and Diag.net, not so much Diag.net, but IATN, the people who bitch at stuff, you know, you put something up there and there's all the haters.
They're bitches.
They'll go and start hating. Oh, you don't need to do that. Just bubble water. Look, dude, bubble water ain't going to find these things. I mean, I did a couple in an air conditioned class we did here. Without CO2, you weren't going to find that leak.
Why not just start with CO2? That's
And,
the point.
and
Why not just start with CO2? You're gonna put your compressed air in. Most people do. Some people do, I should say. Why not just start with CO2 and buy the equipment and get it done right the first time? Because you could sit there for hours. And then you go like, I should have just bought CO2. Should have
Exactly.
And in a kind of related but not related subject, we got a question here about what about customer supplied parts? What do you do about that?
Oh.
Yeah, because
You know-
that's a political nightmare is what that is with the customers.
Right. We just had that from an insurance company. In fact, I believe the car's still here because we got more work on it. The insurance company has to buy the part. They won't let us buy the part. So you know what we did? We just upped the labor.
Yeah, but no, I don't know if they could do that.
We did it.
I don't know if they could do that. They give you a choice. They supply the part, or you. I just went through this too as well in Connecticut. I don't know if the rules are different in Connecticut and New York, but they can't dictate where you're buying the part from because it's a profit level that you.
No, they said they supply the part.
So actually, that depends on what the aftermarket insurance policy is. That fine print that you didn't read before you signed it, or your customer didn't read before they signed it. Well, that's where it bites them.
I'll give you for instance. I had a Cadillac 2012 Caddy CTS in last week, and it was a $1,200 rack. They wanted to send me a rack and overnight it for $4. I was like, no, you can't tell me where I'm buying a part from. So they said, or you supply the part, the customer pays the difference, and then you're responsible. We'll lifetime warranty the part. I go, where's my profit? As a tech shop owner, you need to make a profit or your lights are closed. I don't care how much money you think you're.
This company didn't mind. They had to supply the part for whatever reason. We deal with a lot of different insurance companies, but we upped all the labor prices to where we had to get our percentage that we would have made on the part.
And they allow that? Because they usually don't allow that.
They allowed it.
Right.
I don't know why they wanted it. They bought all OE parts. It was Nissan. They bought all Nissan parts.
You know, my shop was, and I've been closed for years. I've retired. Remember that? But when I had my shop, since I was a specialty, I was a BMW only shop. I told all my customers, and this was like on my, stuff I printed, BMW quality or better. And I did not use, use parts, and I only used certain reman parts. So whenever an insurance company came to me with those kind of lines, I said, that's not what this shop does. And my customer picked the shop of their choice. So now you have to adhere to those rules. I'm not adhering to your rules. This is my customer and you're the insurer.
Yeah, I guess it just depends. In this particular case, most of the insurance companies, we could buy the parts. It's not a problem. I guess this company, And you know, when you buy from a dealer, we don't do a lot of Nissan stuff. So maybe you get 15, 20%. Well, we charged more on the labor. I said, hey, I got to make at least 35%.
I think that's
And I upped it.
another topic. I think it's another good topic for another roundtable all in itself because we go on for hours about that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No doubt. So what else is on your mind? Anything else out there on your mind? Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff there, Pierre. She's wagging her head.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is they're chatting back and forth. What are your guys' thoughts on online programming services?
Well, you know, we've been doing programming for years. Obviously, I even teach classes on programming. But I got to tell you, Opus kicks ass with the Opus IVS. I want to make sure I get the name right.
Yeah.
Anyone could do it. In my opinion, that is my opinion. I think every shop should have an Opus IVS tool in it.
So
Because, let me finish, then you guys can go. Here's the because. If you're busy, you don't want to get all panicked out, all you got to do is hit the button. They get back to you within 15 minutes. They take over, they program it. You're done. You're done.
Except it's not an exception. The fact is that does not absolve you from doing your basic work. You got to make sure you have a good charging system. You have to make sure you have a good battery, all of those things, because they're going to be hooking you up on a power supply, and they're not going to know that you have these other ancillary problems that come in. It does not mean you can just, pawn the whole thing off on them.
Usually before they program, they're going to do a scan.
Yeah.
They're going to do a scan and see what's there. And we know one time we had a switch from a Medtronic's battery maintainer to the Fronius because it wasn't enough. So they look at, before we program it, if you're not at this level, we're not doing it.
Right.
So that's pretty good.
But I'm talking about the addition, the background part of why was something done in the first place? What happened? You have to make sure that you don't have something that can only happen on the road or whatever that caused a failure. You now got a module that smoked or whatever it is, and you've replaced it, and the problem happens again in a month or two.
So I think G said it the best, the panic mode. Because if you don't have the equipment, you can't use the equipment. And what's happening to all these mobile guys? Because that's who their bread and butter was.
Yeah, they got
I have a good friend
you
that's a mobile tech, and I just hate to take the business away from her. And I that's the only reason why I did not go to Drew Tech, the box. But when you need to get done and done right, as long as they're able to do it, that's the only way to go.
Yeah, because you don't want the vehicle going to the dealer. And if you don't have time, when we did have an apprentice here before he got a DWI, okay, we actually had him do an Audi, a couple of cars where I said, if he could do it, anyone could do it. It really, we've been beta testing the tool. It's got to be going on 2 years now. And I got to say, I'm impressed with it. It's not a commercial for them. It is good. Is it infallible? Absolutely not. Obviously, everything can have a problem. I have a lot of the high-end factory tools. And on a Mercedes we had to do recently, we could not go through their setup. For some reason, they couldn't do that particular Mercedes. We did it ourselves. But I do think there's a place for that. And now there are other companies that are coming out. Autel is going to start doing that. Drew Tech has been around for years. It's part of the Opus group. Autologic is involved in that. And it is, they're on. Oh, well, we could switch over to XTool. They're on. Scott, can you hear us?
I'd like to mention something else.
Oh, there they are. They're on.
Hey, all right. So
Okay, pick your volume up and we'll let you guys take it away, XTool.
Hello everyone, I'm Matthew with XTool USA, coming to you from our headquarters here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're the company that brought you the fully featured bi-directional nitro scan tool with award-winning key programming software built in, and we also introduced the sleek and fully automated Triton key cutting machine, designed for experienced professionals and novice users alike. The first option is this. It's an OEM equivalent transponder key that will allow the customer to access and start the vehicle at a much more affordable price point. This is the second option. It's an OEM replica that offers the same form, fit, and function as the original key that came with the vehicle. This is a more premium option that can be offered at a slightly higher price point. And the best part, our system covers roughly 80% of the vehicles sold here in North America. This is hands down the easiest way to add dollars to your bottom line without adding stress to your day. And to show you how easy it is to utilize this system, my colleague Tyler will now show you the process of cutting a key and programming a key to a vehicle.
Hey guys, my name is Tyler with XTool USA. Today we're going to be showing you how easy it is to cut and program a key for a Toyota Corolla. So the first thing we got to do is grab our original key from our customer. We're going to come over to our Triton machine, and from the main menu here we're going to select automobile because we're working on a vehicle, and then we're going to search by year, make, and model. Starting with make, we're going to look for Toyota and select that, and then we're going to select Corolla, and then we're going to select our year range, and then it's going to display a picture of the key, the jaw, what key to use, where to place the key, everything you need to know for the cutting process. Now it's going through that self-calibration process. It's going to make sure that the key is in the correct place, and once it does that, it's going to come down and it's going to trace each cut, and it's going to display those cuts on the screen for us as we go. So while it's doing that, I'm going to come over to our kit and we're going to look for the correct year, make, and model on our kit. We're going to grab the corresponding key and then we're going to set it to the side. All we're going to do is we're going to lift up the shroud. We're going to take our customer's original key out. We're going to place our new key inside of the machine to the same position. Nothing different. Load it exactly the same as you did with the original key. Tighten it in nice and snug and hit cut. And that's all it took. Our key is now done cutting, and now we have 2 duplicate keys that we can go program to this vehicle. To start off, I have my VCI box below the dash here. It's already plugged into the OBD2 port. We're going to take our original key. We're going to switch it to the on position. Not cranked, but just to the on position. And then we're going to go to special functions. We're going to go to immobilization and hit agree. Now I'm going to look for US Toyota, which is right here in the top left for me. And since we have an existing key and we're just adding a second key, I'm just going to go to add a key here. It says insert the program master key into the ignition and switch the ignition on, which it already is. So I'm going to select yes. And so now it's saying insert the new key into the ignition. Security light on the dash stop blinking, which means our key is successfully programmed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my key out. I'm going to put it back in and we're going to try to crank it with our new key. And perfect, the car starts right up. So now this is a remote head key. So now we're going to be programming the remote. So I'm going to go to remote. I'm going to hit program remote. So switch the ignition on. We already have the ignition on. It says open driver's door. The driver's door is already open. And we're going to close our driver's door here and I'm going to test my remote. This remote is working perfectly fine. Trunk opens. Panic goes off. Lock and unlock work, so that's all there is to it. Program a key in for this car in and out.
There's keys right here. Typically, every key in this set is around $20 or less, which typically sell for probably $250. You have your MFK set over here, and these typically are under $10, and quite a few are under $8, and they typically go for $100 to $150. So profit margin is very good on this. You get 174 keys in nitrous keys over here, and you get 240 keys in this set right here, 80 chips, and about 90 head shells.
If you're interested in seeing that programming video on this specific vehicle, you can, after the meeting, go ahead and go to nitrouskeys.com, search 2015 Nissan Altima, scroll down to the bottom of that page and click that video. It'll show you the programming process on the car. Unfortunately, we don't have time to show you all that. So if you want to do that on your time, you hit your own time, you're more than welcome to, so you can see what our system can do.
Questions? G, I know that wasn't exactly what we wanted, but it's the best we could do for the moment.
Thank you very much. I hope you could hear me.
Yes, Scott, we could hear you. We thank you. And everyone, if you didn't see it, is XToolsUSA.com. So look there. Well, Scott, we thank you guys for coming on. I know we have a couple of the people that were on the big event that bought your tool, and they absolutely love it. And I do think that is something that if you have someone up front, you sell people keys, as you were saying. How many used cars come only with one key? And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, a little hard to hear, but you could get it through Napa. Is that correct?
That is
You can
correct.
get keys. Yeah,
Other shops.
it's a bit nerve-wracking when you're up there in front of your peers, and you got to know your stuff is the big thing, because people are going to call you out on it. You make a mistake, you get a real A-wipe in your class, it's going to be a major catastrophe for you. But once you get over it and do it, it's great. We love trying to get young guys into business. I have my manager here, Bill, been trying to get Bill to take over because I can't do this stuff forever, but Bill don't want to do it. You have to want to do it. He's a young guy and he just doesn't want to do it. Some people just don't have that personality maybe to do it.
Or the confidence.
Yeah,
Some of it's just confidence.
Yeah. Now, if it was this guy, he can do it easy. Actually, Pierre has taught with me,
Well, unfortunately, my mouth sometimes runs on and on and on, and that's a problem. But
it's good in one way, bad in another way.
I'm not timid.
No, and you can't be timid to be an instructor. So, where do you go? I don't know of any place other than working under an instructor.
I think the major thing is confidence. I think it's definitely learning from your peers. And then when you get to a certain point in your life and you're like, I could do this, I think that's when it takes toll. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years and I always say, can I be an instructor? Could I do it? And I always had a little confidence glitch. I'm not afraid to talk to people, if you know me. And there's a guy out there, I'll mention his name, from ATG, Chris Lewis. He was a little scared at first too. And if you know that guy, he ain't scared anymore. So
That's right. You know who got him into teacher?
this guy right here.
I got him into teacher.
And he always said, thank God for G, because I was at the level where I didn't know if I could do it or not. But he pushed him over the edge. And once he did it, there's no going back for that guy. And he's an awesome teacher.
Yeah, he makes me really proud. Chris does a great job.
Now, I
Definitely.
want to make a comment about that. It's not just confidence in your teaching. I learned to fly years ago. When an examiner gives a check pilot, or after a check ride, gives you your initial pilot's license, the line is not "attaboy, go get him, you know everything, go kill him" type of thing. It is, this is your license to learn. And I think that's a good attitude for us as technicians, not just in being instructors, but as technicians. This is a business that you have to keep learning continuously. You're not going to be able to instruct unless you learn the new stuff. You're not going to be able to repair cars unless you learn the new stuff. And it may not be just new cars. It may be a new technique, whatever it is. I mean, Jerry's been saying it for years, update or evaporate, right?
That's about it.
And so,
Stay on your
but
game.
if you do that, if you keep updating, then your confidence also increases. So they feed each other.
In fact, when you teach someone, Bill was doing a real great job out there with Michael, the DWI guy. See how I keep bringing that up because it irritates me. I have so much time into this kid and he
left.
blew it. But anyway, make a long story short, if you go to teach someone, you get better at it because you hear yourself instructing someone and you get better doing it.
Sometimes that's the way the best way to perfect your knowledge actually is to try to explain it to somebody else. Same reason why an apprentice or somebody else in the shop can be valuable to you if you show them how to do something or how not to do something.
Right.
So it's all good.
I think the more practice you do something like as me and Pierre do on a once a week basis, the more your confidence level goes up. And now there's no thought of, am I doing it right? Am I getting the right answers? That's the goal of learning. Once you know it, you can't take it back from you. So you have it and you can make money with it, or you can train somebody else to use it.
Well, like Animal House, knowledge is good.
Now, that said also, nobody knows everything. So there's power in networking. That's what created IATN in the beginning. That's what created or led to diag.net. You know,
And now Facebook groups.
even Identifix, you know, they rely on a lot of feedback. Every vehicle manufacturers have their own feedback system. I don't know how well they, you know, there's a variety of ways they distribute that knowledge. And us, you know, we're a group of not-for-profit training, but you know, you meet people through this group.
Oh, yeah.
And any other group you can come up with. Years ago, I was a member of a BIMRS.org, BIMers.org. We were just a BMW organization. You know, every person has their own experience and other people have somewhat different experiences. And I had a problem that I couldn't figure out years ago, or I was getting stumped by it. It was very intermittent, 3 times a year. And I had basically blown a diagnosis, and it was really somebody so we're in New York. It doesn't get really hot for extended periods of time here. Somebody in, I forgot, maybe Texas, Arizona, someplace hot, said, well, we didn't have your problem, but we have this problem related to oil and heat and problems with lifters. So sometimes that networking is invaluable. It turned out that's what it was. It was a mechanical, momentary hang up on a lifter from a lubrication failure that might have happened a year or 2 ago.
I mentioned Opus on that one.
And they have a lot of information as well. Yes, of
Because
course.
Opus, Autologic, what Opus now, there's your confidence level. You know you have a team of people that are experts, that are pros in that car line. And if they don't know it, they'll find it for you.
Right.
So just to hold that tool in your hand, or just not even hold the tool in your hand, just to know that you have that team behind you is, to me, bar none.
Yeah. And to give a plug, there's, you know, another company, Autoland Scientech, that also has some great people on their staff of technical help. So, yeah, you know, it's always good to reach out. The more equipment you have, I mean, I know not everyone knows everyone that I know. That's all the tools I have.
Nobody knows everyone that you know, except you.
But that being said, you know, I really do get to see the different people that can help you out. I always tell people I got the G and a half an O. If I had the other half an O and D, I'd be God. No one knows everything but God. We learn something new every day.
Yep.
Every day. And sometimes when you're working with someone, you know, the good thing about my guys here, both Bill and Franklin, when they run into a problem, they have a confidence level. They yell up. Well, Franklin does, hey, boss, or Bill will say, hey, G, could you come take a look at this? A fresh head. Not that I'm a rocket scientist, right? You know, there's only Bernie that's a rocket scientist. But a lot of times just a different set of eyes and just say, hey, how about this? And it works.
Yeah.
So, you know, you call a friend, Joel, who's on here tonight. Joel contacts me quite a bit. He's an expert in heavy duty and as well works on many cars, got a good shop upstate Syracuse. It's good to reach out to people. And a lot of people do reach out. You know, a lot of times I'm busy and I can't get to you immediately, but I do get back to people. You know, I forgot who I just helped the other day with a vehicle and told them to do something that in my head was simple, but they're in the thick of it. I'm not there in the thick of it. And that's what it's about, reaching out to people.
And by the way, this is not a tool. This is also a technique. Sometimes you get tunnel vision. You dive into something and you miss something. I like to say you sail right past it. It's not that you don't know your material. You're flying and you sail past it. So there are times, especially if you think you missed something important, where it's best to say, I quit.
Well,
and
you know,
go have, I don't mean you really quit. You go have lunch, you go home for the night, you do some other simple job. You know, you do an oil change or whatever, a brake job. And then you come back to it and your brain has reset. That's my point.
You're really tired, though, because you didn't get any sleep that night.
well, you know, that's why even years back when Mitchell was on CDs, you know, I would always have stuff at home, Mitchell and all data. Now, of course, online. If Pierre's right, I do put a time limit on something. If I'm thinking of something and you can't get it, you can't get it. You know what? Even if you called a lot of different friends, resources and stuff, sometimes you just got to go sleep on it, get back up, look at the service information, read it carefully, and you may get something.
And you know, there's been a bunch of times in my career where I was stumped by something or frustrated, and it popped into my head on the way home.
Yeah.
You
Driving's a great thing, right?
you-
When you're driving.
You're doing something else. You're not really thinking about this problem you have back at work. But you know, your brain's doing the processing in the background. You are technically multitasking, even though you're not trying.
Then you can't wait to go back to
And
work.
then you have to, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, so the issue there is you better write it down if it's going to be something you forget.
Or nowadays, just talking to your damn
Yeah, put
phone.
it in your phone, right?
You know what I do a lot of times, because sometimes you talk into your phone, you got to start playing with the keys. A lot of times I just tell my car to call, and I call my office. I just leave a message. It's
Yeah,
easier,
that's good.
so you can do little stupid things like that. Call your phone.
So all of these are little mnemonic, little memory tricks, little mental tricks, but everybody thinks differently. I say this on tech calls and stuff all the time. Some of us are A to Z diagnostics. We have one of our original board members in Massachusetts who is an A to Z guy. He was never the star of the shop as far as being the fastest, but you know what? He fixed pretty much every problem. He got there.
Yeah.
Other people can, split it in the middle, go left or right. Other people kind of jump to conclusions and test that. The bottom line is we all think differently. Whatever your method of thinking is that works for you is the one you should follow. Don't listen to the other guy who says you have to do it this way if that's not how you think.
Yeah,
But-
you bring up a good point, Pierre. Everyone has a different technique. Having been friends with, or still being friends with Bernie and Wayne Colonna, the way those guys diagnose is totally different than the way I would diagnose. So everyone has their own game plan that I always write about. You need a game plan. I think of things a totally different way than Bernie. Bernie is, the man's a genius.
Fear divide and conquer, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm divide and conquer. Yes, I'm the guy who does a non-start A to Z. I figure a place in the middle and I decide whether to go left or right. I do some testing, whatever it is, scan tool testing, whatever I need to do in that situation. And I decide whether the problem's there or there. Now, I might be wrong. I might get to that point and go, oops.
Hey, a couple of things.
Back up.
Let's change it up because we're getting
Right.
low on time. We'll stay on till about 9. How about Super Saturday? How many of you guys are going to Super Saturday in October down in PA? Great group, Super Saturday from ASAPA is a great venue, good instructors. I'll be teaching there again myself, but they have a lot of good guys coming out. 2 days this year, by the way.
Yeah. Which
So
is
2
impressive.
days. We close the whole shop. My guys go down. Usually we have a couple of our board members go down. You've been
We
down
actually
there.
carpool together, Eric
Yeah.
and I, and Bear.
And Bear. Yeah. So
Yep.
if you're not signed up for that, something you should do. And also I'll give a big shout out to one of our other friends that we work with called PAVE. PAVE is a online event that'll be held in December. And if you were on it last year, you get 30 days from when the event is over to watch it. There'll be a bunch of really, really good instructors. So look out for that. TST will be sending out emails both for Super Saturday.
When is Super Saturday?
Super Saturday, October something. Anyone on from
Early
Super
October-
Saturday?
Early October.
I don't remember the date in my head, but I did want to say that. It's something you guys should look into. And PAVE is in December, first weekend in December. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, half day, Sunday. So look out for that stuff. Good
Oh,
stuff.
I wrote, just look up ASAPA. You'll find it under ASAPA.
Or you could always email us at either info@TST Seminars or gt@tstseminars.org.
It's in Warminster, Pennsylvania, which is not, it's really close to Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's not far, and it's going to be in a hotel this year.
We're
I'm not
Facebooking.
mistaken.
I'm sure it's on Facebook.
Oh, it's on Facebook.
yeah, of
Dave
course.
Wagner and Joe
All over the place.
Toccioni, they're all, they got all
A
that
lot of
stuff
people
out.
have been very active with them. I mean, all the Trained by Tex guys have been
Brandon
active with that.
Steckler.
Yeah, they've all been part of that. So I'm sure you'll find it if you look in any of those places.
Definitely. So a question, what's your favorite scan tool? Why don't you type that in? What's your favorite scan tool and why? And Eric, while they're typing that in, you could answer that question. What's
That's
your,
easy.
What's your favorite scan tool?
My go-to is Autel all day long. It's the easiest tool to use, pick up. It's very graphing friendly. I just wish they graph 4 pins instead of 3. Other than that,
And what model Autel do you have?
I have 808, the TPMS tool. Now I'm actually looking into, sorry, the key guy, but the key tool from them. I forget what number it is. It's so many different numbers. 608. The blue tool. I call it the blue tool. Yeah. Anyway, so that's it. And then other than that, I have launched. I have it on my shelf for 5 years. Never picked it up. Still charging on the station. It's just as good as a tool. I just prefer Autel. Snap-on, I rarely use anymore. Other than that, that's it. Autel's away for me. And if you look on Facebook, most people are using it.
Yeah, Autel is a good tool. What do we got down there? Autel definitely a good tool, but same with launch. A lot of times we see one tool don't have something. Having so many different tools. I would say, my favorite tool for drivability is the eScan, but then you got to move from there. And I would say, depending on the car, it's either going to be an Asian or a Euro car. I'm probably going to pick up Autoland Scientech. Does a great job. Followed by, and it's a toss between Autel or Launch.
Where's all Opus fall into that?
Opus on European stuff. You're not just buying a tool. I think when you look at Opus, you're not buying a scan tool. You're buying technical support.
I think you're buying a system.
A system. That's it.
That's what you're buying. You're buying a system. So it's a little different. And there's that support. There's a question about we were going to have an electrical class that got pushed back, or you were going to have it maybe with that. So I don't know. So
it's good. Electrical class will be in September. So in August, the dates will be there. You got to sign up 2 weeks before, because if I don't get enough people, I'm not doing it. So we do have a lot of people interested in it. But if you don't sign up, I'm not running the class. I need a certain amount minimum, and then we'll run it. And it will be a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday.
So come rested, because you are going to work.
The reason why we're doing that now, a lot of guys, I just had the shop across the street from me call over. They got a nice young guy that wants to come. And his boss said, yeah, they work Friday and Saturday. Obviously, most people work Friday. We don't work Saturdays. But the reason being, I've done when Pierre was in my class and Eric, 6:30s to 10:30s, and usually it's like 11ish at night. People are tired. And it doesn't seem like the old guys like Pierre and I, who really wanted to learn and put the time in. A lot of these guys go back to their boss and go, hey, I'm tired from last night. Maybe I need to come in later, or they're not productive the next day. And we even get that with TST when we do TST at night.
It's a problem. And, we work in a hard working field. It's physically and mentally demanding. It wears you out in every way. And
well, look at this weather, just this hot, humid weather.
Right.
Not here, because we have air conditioning in the bays.
So, by the way, that's a subject. You guys down south often have it anyway, but up in New England, New York, most shops do not have AC. I put it in my shop way later than I should have. The guy who's there now has gotten far more years out of it than I did.
Oh, yeah.
And he still uses it. I was there the other day.
I have air conditioning in the car I work on.
I noticed a dramatic improvement in my productivity and my mood, how I felt about working when I could air condition the shop.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, the guys like Bill asked me this morning, should we put the air conditioner on? I go, hell yeah. What do you mean? It's so damn humid.
97% humidity.
It's like, look, you wouldn't work in the winter without heat. You shouldn't work without air conditioning. And I know, it's expensive and stuff, but bottom line is it takes money to make money. And if you can get your people to be more productive as a shop owner thing, obviously, you really should do it. Out in Arizona, down south, all good shops or new shops that they're building have AC. I don't think there's any around here with the exception of us,
Right.
and a couple of dealerships, I think, have it. But anyway, any other questions there?
Somebody said they have an Autel 919 built with the scope and
all of that, which is
Is that big new tablet?
yeah, that's the new one, right?
That new tablet's pretty cool.
I have
Did it?
seen it, but not used it, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I seen it at AE Tools, and I think it's really nice. Has a battery charger thing you can do it, a battery tester. It's pretty nice to say the least.
Like Chrysler's telepathy. What do you call that?
Telemetry,
Telemetry.
or
That's the
Or
big
Yeah.
thing. That's all.
Well, now they're all doing that because all the software. When you look at this, so we got Top Don, we got Launch, we got Autel. They're all doing just like the OEs. They're showing you all the computers.
The brand new update, or
All the updates, yes.
Yeah.
All the updates have that. They're all, if you look at P10 magazine, you should read that or at least look at the pictures. Think of it like as a Playboy's not around anymore, but think of it like a Playboy magazine. You didn't read it for the words. You looked at the girls, right? Sure. But at any rate, not to be sexist here. Sorry about that.
oh, he is.
Look at the pictures and you go, hey, look at that. I go through the pages as I'm eating lunch, my big 15 minutes for lunch, and I go, holy schmoly, they are doing, just like the OE. And that's what's going on. Because, if you go on with Opus can just switch over. I think you've seen Pierre and I do a webinar. I've done a couple of them. I know Greg up in Harriman Auto seen it years ago where other scan tools couldn't fix his car. And we got on through the factory tool. And meanwhile, I have the GM GDS software, but I showed him the power of the Opus tool. Guy gets on, and I guess maybe it was because it's me. They showed us the actual factory side of the tool, which I'm sure they're not supposed to do, but it is great. And also, I also want to give a good shout out to Opus there for NASTF. You need a LSID or VSP. That's a locksmith vehicle service professional license. If you're signed up as a customer of Opus, you could sign up right through them to actually be a vehicle service professional. So you may want to check with them. That's pretty neat in itself.
And by the way, that's going to be more, it's
Mandatory.
already very important. It's going to become critically important for any shop technician or owner who wants to get into most cars going forward, because they're all isolating you at the gateway for security reasons, especially as ADAS becomes such an integral part of every car. My kind of terror story or potential would be, imagine if they don't have the security, all these cars have access, and half the cars on the LIE start getting hacked and put into reverse while the other half start going forward faster. That could happen without the security. So that's why they're doing all this stuff.
And just look at all the hacking that just took place in this country that our president's supposed to tell Mr. Putin to stop, right?
Yeah, well,
Just look
he said
at that.
something,
He said something, but it ain't stopping.
So the bottom line is you need a LSID service professional, registration basically is what it is.
Yeah.
To go forward.
And
Do this.
on that, you need to go to Auto Auth, AUTO, AUTH, Auto Auth, to register your Chrysler tool for the gateway. Okay, Auto Auth, go there. Now, here's a big problem. So my buddy John Anello, Auto Tech on Wheels, always calls me up frantic one day. He's on a brand new Nissan. Okay, couldn't get in because they're locking the gateway. Now here's the factory tool. Okay, and they're doing a new thing. They're not going to go through Auto Auth. And of course, he was allowed in, I guess, at a different day or something. He had to sign his tool back up. There's the factory tool. But they're not going to go through Auto Auth at this point. So I think you're going to see a lot of things like Auto Auth, some other name, I don't know what the hell they'll call it, but you're not going to be able to get through because of security reasons, like Pierre said. Talk about terrorism. Think about going down I-95, and there's tractor trailers there with gas in it and other explosive stuff. They start stopping cars, ba-boom. We don't want that.
No.
So security is important. And it's going to happen. So be prepared that your scan tool, first of all, I get some guys in my class. Oh, well, my tool don't go online. How old's your scan tool? They don't have scan tools going on. You need good internet in your shop. If you suck at actually hooking up the internet to your shop with a hub or whatever, you better hire someone because you need good internet to program.
And make sure it works when they're done. I just actually talked to somebody today who had somebody who works for him, but was not there today, and yet he wanted to do updates. And I said, you've got some stuff going on in your hard drive that I am not qualified to hack into your computer for, and I'm not going to do it. You got to have somebody who really knows your system and can make sure you can then use it. That's the bottom line. You want to use it. You don't want to play with it later.
My buddy Scott Brown came out years ago, and it was on using your computer because he's Mr. Computer Literate. He's really good with computers. And I'm pretty damn good myself with computers, but I thought it was a good class. And I had Scott actually do that class in Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, and here in New York in simulcast. And it was a damn good class that a lot of people.
That almost nobody showed up for.
Yeah.
Because they figured they didn't need to know it. But you know what? You do.
You do.
Yeah.
I think you start to see there's a certain group of people, just like on Facebook. I know Eric's on Facebook, Ed's on Facebook, myself. There are some damn good guys on Facebook that are constantly putting good stuff up, waveforms, all that. Now, I owe it to Doreen to get my butt on Facebook because I wasn't on that until a few years ago. But there are some really good automotive groups there, and it's helpful.
Now you wake up at 4:30 instead of 5 and you go on Facebook.
I was up 3-something this morning, unfortunately. I got an article overdue actually, that I got to finish up. But all right, see, is that John on there? Stolberger?
Yes, it is. Bear.
The Bear Master
In the house.
is
He's
in
one
the
of our
house.
board members who couldn't show up tonight, but good to see you there, John.
It's getting tougher and tougher. Pierre and I have been with this ball. How many years is TST now?
I
It's,
would say between TST and STS, it's 22,
some
3 years,
at
something.
least.
So it's been a while. Been
Been
a
a
day, as my daughter likes to say.
We're always looking for young recruits. You don't even have to live. Nowadays with the internet,
Yeah.
you don't have to live in New York.
Or New Jersey or Connecticut even. You
No.
can be virtually anywhere.
You can do it anywhere.
Become active eventually. It's not like you're making money at this. It's being active in your community. I've said this for years. Jerry said for years that I drank the Kool-Aid and did all this, but that's right. But that's not it. Really, I want us to be a profession. If you want to be a profession, act professionally. Network, learn, continue your education. Don't badmouth the other guy. Treat your customers well. Those are all professional things you should be doing. And part of it is things like this.
Yep. And going to classes when you know that you had to spend your own time and money to go to a class, you're not going to give stuff away for free.
No.
We have too many people that actually do that, right?
Oh, yes, they do. And, again, part of acting professionally is maybe look forward a little bit, see where things are going so you can be, ahead of the wave. I'm not a surfer, but I know that you don't want to be behind the wave.
Eric, years ago, how he found me, he went out to a friend of mine, the injector guru, Mr. Jim Lenda. And I still chat with Jim Lenda online, and it's good to see he's still around and doing okay. He brought so many good people to training, and there were very few people that did any training. And, Eric would go out there to Indiana, maybe not the greatest place to go to, but right. It was a lot of fun.
You didn't see much of it because you're in a classroom 8 hours a day. It's like coming to TST. But I got to tell you, I got to the point where I was opening up hoods in car when I was, on my own shop, on a shop. And I got scared. I was opening up hoods. I'm like, what the hell are these people doing? And where are you going to learn? Where are you going to get this information? You going to try and do it yourself? I don't think so. So I finally just said, I'm doing it. Click the button. I made a decision, pick up the phone, made a reservation, spent a week in guru class, And not for nothing, I met probably 10 different people from there that come to here. And so I just asked the question, where do I go to get training in my area? And they talked about this guy. I don't, wasn't that good at
This
the
guy
time.
here, yeah.
But and I used to see him come out there and sit at a table by himself. Nobody wanted to talk to him. So I was like, look at this lonely guy. I better talk to this guy. So I did, and we became like a family here. And that's what it came out to. But I've been out. That's where I met Bernie, one of our other board members.
Well, you met Bear through this.
No, oh
No,
my God.
And this loser too, he met me through this.
Anyway.
Wayne Colonna was
Yeah,
out
Wayne, I actually took a shirt off my back and gave it to him.
Yeah.
He said, "If this technician think this technician is expensive, try a bad one." And he was like, and now I made him a shirt for his own business. Says the same thing. You think this transmission technician's expensive, try a bad one. So it becomes you become a family member in these groups, and you respect your elders. Like they say when you're a kid, always listen to your elders. Well, it's true. And not only that, listen to the kids, because the kids might teach you something that you don't know.
That's right.
That's right.
Now,
And-
that is damn true.
Mutual respect, actually.
You know,
That's actually
so
very
and
important.
then when you give a student or a colleague that doesn't know as much as you that information, they use it and they learn. They look at you with that little smile. That's what it takes. That's what it's all about. So you got to become part of this group. It's a challenge. You have to go to training and you have to keep up. Or look at the cars today. I thought it was scary back then. Nah, it's 10 times worse now. So you either make it or break it.
That said, if you are scared, one step at a time.
And
you know,
the most important thing that everyone needs to do is electrical.
Basic electrical. I've said this. People look at me like
Well,
I
they
have.
don't like the word basic here. You got to explore
I know that.
space limit.
So I've said this for years at board meetings and other places, and everybody looks at me like I have three heads. So if you went to kindergarten or first grade, whatever, and you learned, 65 or 70% of the alphabet, you got a passing grade, would you be able to read and write? The answer is no, or certainly not very well. Well, that's what's wrong with, well, not just our industry, but half of our society. But you need 100% of the basic Ohm's law. And so I say this to a lot of people. When I started, I was awful at electricity. I sucked at it. But I have two advantages. Number one, I'm a chop breaker. I will never quit. Number two, my brother and my best friend, a guy named Mark, are both electrical engineers. And I called these guys, we didn't have the internet then. I called these guys for years, asking questions, probably the same questions over and over again, until I finally understood it. So I'm not saying that you wake somebody up at 1 a.m. and ask them the question. No, that's not what it is. What I'm saying is ask questions until you actually really in your heart, in your head, understand the answers. And if you don't get the answer from one person, ask another person.
Well, that's why it's even good to go to multiple classes. Sometimes people get turned off by whoever the instructor is. They can only listen so long.
Right.
And now they hear someone else go, oh, man, that guy was great. Oh, yeah, the dude said even more than that. But it's good to do that. This is why going to something like Super Saturday, or I know the online stuff is really tough. It really is.
Some
It's
kids like that. That's
Small
the way they
pieces. I think you have to take that.
it's
in
never
small
going
pieces.
away. With PAVE, TST is part of the PAVE group, along with ASCCA in California, ASA Washington, ASA PA. So there's a group. There's 5 groups in Illinois. So there's 5 different groups, and ASARA up in Massachusetts. 5 groups that we're all part of it, because we realize that people will, especially young people, they may not want to come out and press the flesh. They may just want to do it online.
Well, they can't afford the hotel room. Or they can't.
Well,
can't take-
we heard that we're going to do the big event this year live. That's right, you heard me live. Live, unless our Governor Shmomo cuts it out.
Shuts us down again.
But we're going to simulcast it, because we did hear from a lot of people, gee, it's expensive to get there. I got to get a hotel. I got to, take the time off. The food,
Plane fare or drive along thing, and
I
you
get
keep
it.
the next day
I
or
get it.
whatever it is.
Yeah. So, we're going to do both. We're going to go back to simulcasting. So someone like Alan Boggs down there in Louisiana, well, Alan, you can see it again without coming out. And maybe your dream team of Anello and who else did he want? Bernie, Anello, and someone else. I forgot. Maybe one day that'll happen. Came close to that. Actually, got a pretty good lineup already. We do have my buddy Peter Orlando talking about electrical. Peter Orlando will be doing a good electrical class. If you've seen the one he did for us, I think back in September, right?
The diagram.
The diagrams, he's going to be doing another part, brand new, that you didn't see, for us at the TST big event, March
20
second. Doreen?
something like that.
March 22nd, I think.
It's only a
Well, look
big
it
We
event.
up
forgot.
anyway. It's on the website.
We don't know. So
Yeah, we-
It's up there somewhere.
We know it's the end of March. That's as good as we're going to get for now.
Yeah, that's
put
true.
the calendar March.
Yeah, March. Yeah, third week in March.
Do we have any other questions there or comments?
I think that's it.
What tools do you guys like? Now, we got this new tool here, and Eric brought some, but this here from Dytech, these guys make a very good sensor simulator. You may have seen us use it in the big event. And this is their pressure transducer setup here. So it'll cover my big nose so you can see that. And it really is a nice setup. I'm going to be using it on a vehicle. We haven't really done that. I've been super busy, but has a whole bunch of attachments. You do have to power it up a little bit different than some of the other transducers out there, but has a lot of connectors. Let's see if I can hold this thing up.
You think there's one 5-volt box in it?
You got that in there, Doreen? So, I mean, this guy, it's out of Bulgaria, but I got to tell you, if you have their sensor simulator like Eric and I have, I'm impressed with it. And you can get that through AES Wave, our friends Carlos St. George. Really good. And we'll be doing some of that stuff as like a round table on the car. It's hard to get everyone out in the summer, and I've been super swamped, but we do have some good plans to do some on car. So the Pierre Eric Comedy Hour will be transferred here, and we'll play with some stuff and put some other things in there and keep you ahead of certain things.
Oh, I want to mention something. Pete Meyer had mentioned this Yellow Jacket kit for AC service that will it has an app for your phone or your tablet, and it'll automatically calculate the enthalpy, which is a word I had to learn for that, which is basically the range within which you're being efficient with your mechanical, the gas part of your air conditioning system. That is the compressor, the condenser, and the evaporator, that part. We're not talking about the electronic controls or the stuff inside the car that way. And in the before we had these more refined systems, you could just say, "Oh, that's about right. I'll add a little. I'll take a little away." You could be pretty close, and they worked great. But nowadays, with these new AC systems that have extremely small amounts of charge and extremely high efficiency surface areas, heat exchangers, condensers, and evaporators. This thing, I was intrigued. I actually haven't bought it, and I technically, being not a shop owner, don't even need it, but I think I'm going to buy it anyway, just because I got to have it. So the thing is, it makes it easy to calculate if you're really being efficient on that side of the system so you can sell it to the customer and you don't have to spend a lot of time.
In fact, go to the TST website. We have that up there for free, and that you could see that whole video. And it's really good. Like Pierre said, what we did was take some refrigerant out. It looked perfect. It looked like everything was on the money, but you're talking about 2 pressure transducers, 2 thermal couplers that actually can calculate what's right or wrong. And many cars, you look at the tag, how much it takes, 1 pound, 2 ounces, whatever it may be.
50.
It's wrong. You should always go to service information.
Right.
All data, Pro Demand, Identifix, Motologic. Always look at the latest info.
And by the way, while I was looking at this, I was just kind of intrigued, and I was looking at it today, and I saw a little YouTube video with Scott Brown talking about exactly this system.
Maybe they could send us a unit and try it out.
Well, the G-Man is working on that
I'm
already.
looking at you. Remember that? You see
He's
that?
always working on that. So
Yeah,
but I
actually, CPS is coming out with a new unit.
for me, just for the limited times that I might get called out to wherever to bail out whoever, I think I'm going to want that because it's much more efficient for me.
Oh, by the way, speaking of CPS, they used to sell a tool smart sensor for AC. I love that thing. They don't make them anymore or something.
No, because I think they're going on to this new system.
Yeah, they're wireless now.
Yeah.
But
I have that other little blue one we have. Works great.
yeah, it's like the best tool in the world.
It is. And it was inexpensive at
Yeah,
the
you
time.
don't forget the damn sensor.
By the way, pronounce that again. The
Enthalpy.
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 I can't get the words out of my mouth.
No, it's a tongue twister in one word.
Yeah. And by the way, Motor Age magazine also had a great article by Jim Kokonis
Yes,
in
they
there.
did. That was a good article.
So you can get that online. Go to motorage.com and read that.
How about that tool?
No, it's about enthalpy
it's
testing
enthalpy
and-
testing, and it has the tool in it. Now, Scott Brown, in my air conditioning class, Scott was kind enough to add a little video that we have in there. And it is really, when you look at it, you go,
Are
wow,
you talking about the
my
temperature
testing
probe
thing
to go on
sucks.
The evaporator side or the
So,
condenser side?
so you have two temperature probes,
Probes.
one on the high side, but after you've gone through the condenser,
That's my point.
right? I think that was it.
Yeah, good luck.
And the
getting
other
that.
one after the, well, of
Well,
course,
it's
there's
getting down near it.
some cars you can't totally reach, and the other one is leaving the evaporator, right? I think that was
Right.
what it was.
And
And-
then you got two pressure transducers.
And then you have a pressure on a high and a low, and it's doing the calculation for, what was it? I've already
super cool.
super cooled and
Yeah.
whatever.
It's
There was
really
I've
good.
already forgotten the terms, but
Where's Pete Meyer when we need him?
yeah, exactly.
Oh, in Florida.
If you have the app,
Give me that
and
grease.
and by the way, being in Florida, I think he understands what the need for air conditioning.
I think he does. Actually, Pete will be back up here. There'll be another free TST Motor Age webinar in August. I'm not sure of the date right now, but keep tuned. Doreen will send out tons of emails. And by the way, if you're not on our email list, because like Bear, you clicked off, you didn't want to get the email, don't unsubscribe. It's pretty hard. We have now over 19,000 emails, but when people unsubscribe, we can't do much on our end. It's all on your end.
Unless you have a separate email address that you can use. If you have two email addresses, you could resubscribe that way. But otherwise, it's basically like, think about it. If you get junk mail and you unsubscribe, you basically blocked them like
Yeah.
some kind of a problem, and you can't unblock yourself.
Well, especially with constant contact, they're very fussy. If people don't want an email, you click on it, they ain't getting it. So be careful if you're doing that. Only you can get it back. And I know it's a painful process.
They would have to email me and I'd email them that link.
Oh, the link.
through,
So
yeah.
Doreen says, if that happens, you got to specially email her. She emails a special link, yada, yada, yada. And it's all that good. Well, any other questions? Or I think we're turning out again. Oh, didn't you brought a couple of
I
tools?
brought a
Show
bunch
us.
of tools. I
Just
have all
show 'em,
set
show
of my tools here.
So show,
Superheat
yeah.
and subcool, by the way, with
Thank
the
you.
words. And just to rub it in, try Arizona
No,
AC, kids.
no.
He said, you know what? In
Death
Arizona-
Valley
in
was
that-
130 degrees.
You guys in the desert Southwest, you like to say it's dry heat. I've heard that line. Well, here's my answer to dry heat. I don't care whether you're baked, boiled, broiled, fried, or steamed. You're still cooked.
That's it. Okay, so Eric, show us what you have. But what's this first?
Like that, if you work on Euro cars, even some American cars, you have those pesky little PCV or breather hoses that you break off every time, or you got to use two damn scribes to open them up and without breaking them. And then you break one, you're like, oh, that's another $200.
you know
That's all it
the
costs me.
squeeze to release ones that don't stay together. Those
So
guys?
this you put on, you turn it, and it unlocks it for you, stays there, you pull on it.
Let me see.
I mean, that's like if you're on Facebook, a lot of people talk about these, and they're hard to find. Very hard to find.
Who makes them?
I just have to have a part number right here. Hold on.
Macco.
Macco Tools, part number
Well-
MS T1455. You will love this tool.
You know,
It's a must-have. Is your
I got to
your,
yell at my Macco guy.
yeah.
Didn't show us this.
They don't show them on the truck. You know, I found this on Facebook talking to Mario, Super Mario.
Super Mario.
Okay, he had a little link up, and it comes in all different sizes. There's 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, different sizes.
And what else you got there? What's that?
My next
Belt
one
sander.
It's a mini belt sander. This thing is the best for those caliper cages that you have to
Oh,
clean
yeah.
up all the time. And you buy the file. You can use a wire brush, which I use a lot still. But this gets a night. It's so rusted, and this rust loop. You go 2 seconds, you're done. Done.
They don't make that in electric, just air.
As far as I know, it just.
Who makes that?
Well, you buy Astro.
Astro,
There's a
okay.
bunch of different. I think it's a 3/8 thick. It comes to all different grits. Let me tell you something. This is a time saver and a half. It's not just for brakes, but that's what I mostly use it for. But you will love it.
I'm surprised Snap-on hasn't made that.
Well, that's why I'm
Well,
bringing
if
these
they-
tools
if
and
they're
nobody
watching
knows
this
about.
video, they will.
So this is another one. I don't know if anybody has it or seen it. Have you seen it? You've seen that.
I've seen that one yet.
Okay, this is an amp pound. So if you're doing piercing draw, this is like your buddy. It's a little puppy that you.
I like my Fluke
Yeah. Well,
30 i30s. Right?
yeah. Well, this you just go across. If you're going across fuses, you don't have to look at it. You go. If it beeps, if it tones, that's where the current's going. You don't have to look at nothing. You trust me. Some of these cars you're upside down, twisted sideways.
Problem is, not all fuses are spade plate. That's why I don't like it.
Yeah.
I left that off a while back.
You can make your own
And
adapters.
some spade fuses have a
A
solid
solid cover.
solid back that you can't touch the back of them. But for a lot of applications, that's
Yeah.
spectacular.
Oh, and a little
Okay, now this one,
releases.
you know how many times you can't find the right disconnect tool for your little connectors? Okay, well, listen. How many do you want? Because this company, well, there's a bunch of out there. So you can buy 100 different boxes. This one comes with 99.9% of everyone you need. I used it the other day on actually Bernie's tool to fix it.
I can't really see what you have.
It's a little terminal release tools.
Ah, there you go. Thank you.
Okay.
They're very small.
Yeah, they're really small. I mean, I have boxes and boxes of these. I found this company now. It's like, oh, they're all in here.
Yeah, I have the Master Snap-on set and a Macco set.
And then the last one.
And a
I'll
Mac
show
set,
you.
actually, 3.
Kind of large. But we were
Yeah.
talking about leverage before.
Oh yeah, that's a great tool.
This thing's about. Okay, you're doing lower control arms in the car. You use a big pry bar. Well, instead,
Don't break my
I'm not
table.
going to. I already said that. You just put under the control arm and you pry down, or even like you're doing the lower strut, and you can't get it down. You take an air chisel. Go,
Face the camera. Let them see it. You're blocking it.
Yeah.
So this tool it also has adjustments to different
Yeah,
size
give them sizes.
A-arms. So
And
this has
is
been
that-
around for a while.
Who-
They're not the easiest to find.
Who's that made by?
Mac tools, SPX maybe? SP, I forget the name of the company exactly. Here it is, SM Tools.
SM Tools. Okay. Now, didn't Muller Krups make something like that too?
No, they made a roller.
A roller. That's it. The
The
roller.
roller to check ball joints, but it's hard to use on the ground. You have to put it on the ground, or if you have a 4-push lift, it's a lot easier. That'll test ball joints, all kinds of weird angles that you can't really see on the ground.
Very cool.
But this is a must-to tool.
So guys, and gals, we have a question for you. Thank you, Eric, for bringing all this stuff. What would you guys like to see in upcoming webinars or seminars and or round tables? What would you like to say?
Yeah.
Can you type that in? Hopefully, and we apologize for XTools having an issue on their end and knocking us off, and our batteries then going dead, brand new batteries. But I think we have a couple there. So
All right,
we
yeah,
do
give us
thank you for
whatever
your
want,
time.
Whatever you got.
what's that say, Pierre?
Thermal camera to find shorts is my latest epiphany. Somebody said so.
Thermal camera's real good.
So, by the way, that's another technology that's been evolving. I got one of the early FLIRs that has. First of all, it's better if you can overlay a visual picture, because just seeing heat, what something looks like as a heat source versus hot and cold areas, it's really tough to figure out what it is you're looking at. In fact, sometimes I put my finger next to it so I know that's a finger, in the picture.
Be careful. This is a family show.
So, but the bottom line is the newer ones will allow you to overlay a visual picture or a grayscale, color or grayscale, and your infrared color, gradated picture, so you know exactly what you're looking at. Otherwise, you look at a fuse box or something like that, which has
It's hard to tell.
a lot of square and rectangular shapes, and it's, which one is it? I have 7 relays or 10 relays. Which one was that?
The new Snap-on one we have that does video
Yeah.
is pretty neat. I mean, I have an old FLIR one that's expensive. That was a General Tool FLIR one, where it has not a fixed lens, but a lens like a real good camera, but $30-something $100. How many people are going to buy that? Really nice, but no need for that. The newer stuff is getting cheaper. It's like my old boroscope of years ago, real boroscope, $30-something $100 scope.
Fiber optic back then.
Yeah. Nowadays, these are just cameras. They're video cameras, and they don't like heat, but they're all good. I mean, what was the one we bought off the guy?
Oasis.
Oasis.
Yeah, that's
So
a good tool.
we have the Oasis one, and of course, we have the Bernie one. Both good. Both really do a nice job.
I have an idea on that. So the one that ATS sells is really good. I mean, super good resolution and all of that, but none of these things is, bulletproof. So if you get into a situation where there might be harm to that expensive borescope, it's better to have a cheap one. You get the $100 or $200 or whatever one off of whatever source you want. And then if you put it in that place where you have it down the timing cover and you accidentally get it pinched between the timing chain and the gear, you don't feel so bad.
Well, the biggest problem is people
Oil.
putting in it heat.
Heat and liquids.
Here's a little tip. If you see the picture getting a little fuzzy, pull it out and pull it out quick,
Right.
because you will ruin that camera. Oh, look at that. Some guy, is that Bill that put that? I can't see that far away. He put a little video up there of that tool.
Right, there you go.
Don't click it.
Yeah. Okay. So
Thank you, Bill.
now, I know we're probably running late here, but I've been a big proponent of using exhaust analyzers or some way of measuring mixture for years. And all you people in California who have smog test shops, use your exhaust analyzer.
Please.
All you need to do is download a Lambda calculator off the web. There's a bunch of them. Doesn't cost you a penny. Say you have a crank nose start. Stick the probe in the tailpipe and see. You don't need a Lambda calculator for this. What do you have? Do you have hydrocarbons? You're getting fuel. You may not have enough fuel, but you're getting fuel. Do you have combustion byproducts? That is CO, CO2, that kind, like that. Immediately, you know whether you have fuel and spark. Again, you may not have the right amount of spark or the right timing of spark. You may not have enough fuel, but you know whether you have some. If you have none, if you have no spark, that doesn't mean throw a set of spark plugs at it. No. That means, but the point is it's a direction finder.
No, so Pierre, I just did for Dorman lunchtime, a 5-gas video with
Right.
you.
Yeah, that's correct. We did that. So 5-gas is my favorite. But
He was there. He
I
just
was
forgot
there.
about it.
But my point is this. There's another way to do it if you can't afford an exhaust analyzer and you don't want to spend, $5,000-6,000, whatever it is on that, or you don't think you'll use it.
Oh,
Though
you'll use it.
Though I really recommend doing it anyway. But I bought some years ago, and I think it was off of Amazon for, not a lot of money, air fuel ratio sensor. It basically uses a VW Audi air fuel ratio sensor with a little box, plugs into a cigarette lighter, has a cheap LCD
The Lambda
display.
calculator.
And it's just a Lambda calculator. It's not all the gases. It's not going to do that crank no start diagnosis, but if you have one of those drivability problems that's eating your lunch, or you have misfires and you think you're in fuel control, but you're not really sure, then this is a quick check in the tailpipe to see if you actually do have Lambda 1.0 when the car thinks it has Lambda 1.0. And again, you know, forks in the road, right? That divide and conquer thing. Am I following a mixture problem for that misfire that 3 other shops have replaced the ignition parts 4 times for? Or do I actually have a lean problem because my ground from my oxy sensors is floating a little bit, making a false rich signal, making the car run lean?
Yeah. So gas analyzers, now that Snap-on came out with one, and they may be out over a year or so, that is something you could look at. It's a small little unit. You could go look at that video. There's also, of course, the ATS one that we have is good. And I'll give a shout out to the guy out there, John, EMS out in Illinois. Really nice setup.
And
nice
that actually
software.
has 2 sensors. So that actually can measure 2 places at the same time and you can do a calculation, for example, pre and post cat. That's really cool.
Very nice software.
Yeah, that's really good. My recommendation, nowadays, I don't think any exhaust analyzer is anything but 5 gas, right? They're all 5.
Oh, yeah. I don't think
have to be 5 gas for a Lambda calculator to work. Right. So your old 2, 4, whatever it is.
Get rid of it.
From 25, 30, 40 years ago, it's a brick.
You know, it's like daddy's battery charger of yesteryear.
Right.
You know, if you're putting too much AC ripple out, you're going to ruin stuff.
Right.
Break down and buy a new charger.
The same is true with exhaust analysis.
Exactly.
And there's lots of good material on the web about that. There's a simple chart that tells you, weren't we just talking about that in the webcast? The simple chart about where all the gases are, stoichiometry being, in the middle of those curves. If nothing else, look up that chart because it will help you diagnose other problems.
I have a little pie plate one that I use all the time. I just pulled out the other day. It tells you all known good, good rich indicator, lean indicator. It gives you your thresholds where you should be.
Right. And it's the real deal. It's not the most lying tool in the world, the scan tool. And people go, what do you mean? Well, scan tools can substitute a value. What's coming out of the tailpipe is the real deal.
And if that sensor, for example, that oxy sensor I just talked about, there's nothing wrong with the oxy sensor. There's nothing wrong with the computer. There's nothing wrong with the generator or alternator. What happened is the ground for that oxy sensor signal was a little corroded. And now the computer sees a higher signal than what is really happening.
Here's your own slot.
And well, that's part of it. And now all the things you thought you knew from that scan tool are wrong.
True. That's why 5 gas analysis is important. What do we got?
There's also another great videos from ATS on using the Get 5 gas to know you're in fuel control, you're not, what direction you're going. So I definitely recommend looking these videos up. I think one was on the Equinox. I forgot what the other one was, but a really great video to learn that tool.
Well,
and
by
why
the way,
you need that tool.
By the way, ATS has some great videos. If you haven't been watching them, and
The last one was awesome.
one of the guys I was speaking to, and of course, Pierre, you know him quite well, and you know him as well, is Jeff. We want to get Jeff on a round table.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to kind of do something here, on car round table and get Jeff, because he's really been doing a great job.
And if you don't know who that is, that's Jeff Side, who works for ATS. He's the guy you're probably talking to when you have a problem loading your software or initiating some tech support call.
Great guy.
And, kind of full disclosure, I do tech support for ATS. So he's my contact person,
He's taken ATS from great to
even better.
Spectacular. I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
Great.
And the reason why is because he's interested. Like we're talking about us being as technicians. He's interested. He wants to learn things. He keeps coming up with new ideas. He's, enthusiastic.
It was on the record, Jeff, by the way. Make sure you know that.
And he puts it down in layman's terms because our buddy Bernie is just, like I said, a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
Is that any comment there, or?
Well, it's a comment, but it's not relevant to what we're talking about.
Got you. All right. Well, I think we took a lot of your time. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. I do want to thank XTools again. If you're into keys, Their tool is very capable. I do know a couple of people that have it. They were one of our TST sponsors. We always say when people's a sponsor or not. And we call it like it is. When we use that die tech tool there, if it's good, we'll say it's good. And people will go, well, how can you do that? You're friends with Bernie. Hey, I didn't know Bernie. Bernie became a friend. He's a good guy, good tools. And I always tell people, if you buy a tool off Bernie, you think it sucks, let me know. I'll get your money back. Okay. I'll give you the money for it because it's damn good. It's a great, great tool.
That said, in parting, I've said it a few times tonight, whatever tools you buy from anybody,
Got to use them.
you got to use them. You got to learn.
Practice.
You got to learn what their limitations are and what their strengths are. And I really recommend people to do. It doesn't have to be what Eric and I do. It may be somebody in your own shop or yourself alone, but it's usually better with more than one person.
Yeah.
Get together on either known good cars or that Honda was the perfect example because it was trash going to the junkyard. So we could have, literally blown it up and it would have been, a laugh.
You can make it bad.
We could. Yeah. But the point is practice on all these things.
Dave DeCourcy, may rest in peace, and Rick O'Neill and those guys up there in Massachusetts, they did a real good job of always getting together and learning. Don't just buy the tool. Take the tool out and use it, like he said, on a good car.
And by the way, that's what what we call the Chicago crowd, because we're in New York. We're the New York crowd. But John Thornton and Scott Manna and Kenny Zander, that's what they've all done. They get together and they work on not only their diagnostic techniques and all tools, but also how to document stuff and make classes.
Actually, Scott Thornton and Scott Manna and John Thornton were both guru teachers at Lenders.
Yeah, that's right.
When I met you.
Yeah.
So the question was, thinking about an air fuel sensor, any recommendations? The one I bought, which is, I'm trying to think of the name of it. Innovate Motorsports, I think was the name of it. I bought it from, like I said, it was just on Amazon. And the way they sold it was with like a 9-foot cable. So I had to optionally add, by the way, there's a 4.2 sensor and a 4.9 sensor. The 4.9 sensor is longer lived in this application. And you have to buy the optional like 18-foot wire, I think it was, and an optional little clamp that you screw the sensor in that clamps on the tailpipe. Because they want to sell this to motorsports people to put in race cars to tune in their cars.
HKS.
But the problem is they're selling it with a bung that's supposed to be welded in a header, and that's not what you're doing on a street car. So you use the clamp-on tool. Now there's a warning about it might be being a little indicating leaner than actual because you can get false air at the tailpipe. But that has not been my experience. I clamp it in there. I make sure it's in the tailpipe soundly. You do have to put a rag if you're doing it at idle. You have to, just like with pressure transducers in the exhaust, you have to stick a rag in the pipe. Say you have 2 or 4 exhausts, you got to plug
them a bit.
the ones you're not testing, right? The others, so you don't get false air or a problem with your signal. And I think all up it was $400 and some bucks. I don't remember exactly, but compared to a $5,000 or $6,000 exhaust analyzer, at least it tells you have lambda or not.
Yeah.
It's not as good as a real exhaust analyzer, but it does give you that, and it's important.
I still don't know what Snap-on gets for that little gas analyzer, and they never gave me.
That's a full
price on
5.
it.
That's a full 5.
Full
gas.
5 gas.
And that can you can
Goes on a big screen.
You can put it on a big screen and print with your printer and all of that. So that's much more sophisticated. Any of these exhaust analyzers where you can print, it's much better than just having a display.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I'm going to say thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We hope to see you back in the future. So we will catch you. Be safe. And
Yeah.
from New York, Eric.
Good night.
Yeah. Good night.
Yeah. And me. Good night. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.